Hi, I'm Jesse from the reference department. If you play this video backwards, you'll get a special message. So I'm going to tell you today about Wolf and White Van by John Darnielle. John Darnielle is a musician. He was in the band, or he is in the band The Mountain Goats. Is the band The Mountain Goats. Who's been recording songs for many, many years. And I was not really excited about reading this book when I first heard about it because I sort of have an aversion to books written by musicians. Like, you know, I don't want to read Richard Hell's novel or Dee Dee Ramone's novel or Jimmy Buffett even. I don't even want to listen to his music really. But so I think musicians often feel like they have some like need to create greater art to be more important, and they can't be satisfied with just the music that they're part of. So they've got to create something else, and often they just write these very like mundane sort of standard books. And the thing about John Darnielle's book is that there's a lot of craft in it. He is a musician who wrote a book, not a musician writing a book. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't make sense. He's a person who is a musician and who wrote a book, not a musician who's writing a book. I think they're two mutually exclusive things, maybe. That's what I mean. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of craft in this book. So he put a lot of thought into the narrative structure. The sentences are well put together. The prose is really interesting and fun to read. And I'm a person who likes to read books for prose. I'm a lit snob, I guess, although I do enjoy my trashy, poorly written books sometimes. But this is a book, there's a lot of craft to it, and the structure is really interesting, and it's not just structure for structure, you know, playing around with structure. There's a sense to it, a meaning to it. Basically, the book is told backwards. You've got this main character, Sean, who has suffered this horribly disfiguring incident that has made it so he doesn't really leave his house very often. He doesn't interact with anyone. And he's created this play-by-mail role-playing game where it's kind of like Dungeons & Dragons meets a choose-your-own-adventure novel where players read through scenarios, make a choice on what action they're going to take, and write a letter to him about that, and then receive another, you know, further scenarios in the mail based on their choices. And this is his only interaction with the outside world, is through this game that he's created. And like him, a lot of the people who are playing the game are sort of lonely, and this is their only social interaction. So they're writing deep things about their lives to him, and this is how he's interacting with the world. And it's told backwards. So it starts out in what you would call the present day. I don't know if it's contemporary necessarily, but it starts on the present day and works backwards through time to where you eventually find out about what disfigured him. The reason for the structure going backwards like this is there's one, he's being sued by the parents of some teenagers who played the game, who took the game into the real world. They tried to enact some of the scenarios from the game in real life, and one of them ended up dying, which is not a spoiler, I don't think, to tell you that. So, and through going through this lawsuit, it's taking him back in time, sort of as this like fever dream where he's sort of swirling around, remembering, thinking about his past and the creation of the game and what it means to him. But also, there's a sense of artistic responsibility. Like, is he responsible for this because he created this game, which is parallels sort of the famous Judas Priest trial where two teenagers, one of them shot himself, one tried to and disfigured himself, and their family sued the band Judas Priest, saying that the song had a hidden message saying "do it" over and over again that led the kids to harm themselves. And then there's the idea of hidden messages in heavy metal music that was popular. Called backmasking, like Stairway to Heaven, or the name of the book Wolf and White Van is another one of these examples from real life where someone heard that message hidden in some Christian rock music. And so the book goes backwards, like you would play the record backwards to hear these messages. So it's really a well put together book. I had a friend who was not interested in reading this book because of the gaming aspect. That was what she had picked up on the reviews. Even though it got good reviews, that's what she was taking away from it. It was a book about video games or Dungeons and Dragons or something that was not something interesting to her. So she didn't want to read it. But I would say that sort of thing is not necessary for you to enjoy this book. I'm not a big video game player. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons. I don't even like Star Wars, really, despite my nerdy glasses. But this book, it's like a character study. It's a look into this person's life and an attempt to understand them. So, John Darnielle in his music and in this novel is telling stories oftentimes about these sort of losers, that guy in the back of your science class who you were worried about making mad because he might come to school, like shoot everyone up one day. That's sort of these losers are the guys who populate his stories, and it's a way to look into their lives. It's very interesting, and I recommend it for anyone. It doesn't sound very cheery when I say it like that, and I guess it's not very cheery, but it's a fascinating, well-written book, and I think a lot of people will like it. Try to get a hold of it now before it wins the National Book Award, which it's on the long list for, and that's also now climbing up the New York Times bestseller list. So go ahead and put it on hold now before there's 400 people trying to read it. And all right, if you like book reviews, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, check out the library. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Pinterest, we're on Instagram.
Yeah.